Hey guys, what's up? Here's a quick video from me talking about this new game called Battleborn. They just released a beta for it, I think last week on Friday, and it's been up for this weekend. I think it's still going on. I don't know exactly when it ends. I think you can still jump on it now if you're quick. I can't imagine it's going to be out that much longer. They don't normally do these open betas for too long, so I'd get on it now if you have got a PS4 or anything. But anyway, Battleborn. This looks like a really cool game. It's kind of like a first-person shooter mashed up with like a MOBA. Because obviously most MOBAs, from my knowledge, are mostly kind of from a top-down perspective or a bird's-eye perspective, looking down at the whole sort of battlefield, where this obviously is first-person, as you can see. And this is my first game that I recorded of it. I jumped into the game, knew nothing about this game basically. I heard of it, seen some sort of vague trailers on it, but I hadn't really put myself too much time into looking into it and what it was all about. But from what I've played so far, I've really enjoyed it. I think that what it's given us is really fun. I've never really played a MOBA, so this is my first experience with this kind of game, and it was a little daunting. Like, I do feel like there's almost so much going on in a first person's perspective that it's kind of too much, you know, like there's a lot going on. But basically, if you've never played a MOBA, this basic mode, which you get on a lot of kind of MOBAs, is you've got two sort of big robots that you've got to protect. You've got two on your side, two on the opposite opponent's side, and you've got these AI like robots. So you've got a guy through the map to their robot and help destroy the enemy's two robots. And whoever destroys the robots first wins. And if it comes down to the end of the time limit, whoever's robot's health is at the least amount loses, and the other team wins. So that's how the game works. This game mode. There's only two game modes. You've got this one and another one, which I haven't really played too much of. I found myself interested more in this one than the other one, because I played one game of it and I wasn't too keen on it, to be honest. I like this style of game. It just feels like there's almost so much going on, and it's very hard for you to kill like multiple people, because you're normally like being teamed by so many people, and it's quite difficult. And if your team aren't really up to snuff and you are, it can be really frustrating to have a terrible team and against a really good team. But that's most games, I suppose. But anyway, the character I'm playing is I forgot his name. I found out earlier, but I forgot it. But he's like a British snobby kind of robot, and I thought he was really cool. He's like a sniper. He has a cane that has a scope on it, and he has some cool ability. He has like an owl that's a robot that he shoots out, and it marks people and does a small amount of damage. A stopwatch that slows time down in a small area, like an area. And his ultimate is like a explosive shot with his sniper. It's really good, and he was a pretty good character for me to start out with. I didn't know who was who or what people did with what, and each character has their own special like certain skill tree, and that's another thing about this game, because there is so much to talk about with this game. This guy has some great abilities, and they all have different abilities, but the only thing with abilities is that you can upgrade them as you play, and if you play, you'll get leveled up, and when you get leveled up you can unlock a new ability. And basically you've got your left and your right ability, and you pick which one you want as you go through, and there's 10 sort of skill upgrades you can unlock. So you got 10 of them going down a list, and then you got one on your left and one on your right. So one on your left might say 2.8% more damage on this skill, and the other one might say that your slowing time stopwatch thing lasts 3 seconds longer and does like a little bit of damage or something like that. And you can pick what you want, and you can pick something like damage or length of time or shield protection or something like that, or you can make so like your sniper does more damage or it reloads quicker, something like that. So they do feel different and varied with the skills, and they feel like what you can pick isn't like the same thing almost. Like, it's a hard choice, which is a good thing. You want it to be difficult, so when you go back and play the second character again, you can pick the other skills and try them out and see what works for you. So there's a lot of replayability with the multiplayer, and picking the same character and getting used to that sort of set of skills. And all the characters are varied in their design, in what they do. I mean, you've got melee characters, you've got melee characters with guns, you've got, you know, all these crazy characters basically. I mean, the melee characters feel a little bit spammy. Literally all you're doing is going like this on your controller when you've got a melee character, and it feels a little bit like, what am I doing here? Like, you're literally just spamming one button and you're just hoping that you'll hit it quick enough compared to the other. Literally, if you're going against another melee opponent, you're both going like this. Like this, constantly with the characters, hoping that one of you two will press the button fast enough, just enough to kill the other person. It's a little bit spammy, it's a little bit weird. I didn't personally like that. I prefer to play someone with a gun. Maybe it's just because I'm more used to, you know, shooters than MOBAs or something like that, but it just feels a little bit like, if you're going at someone with a gun and you're up close to them, meleeing them constantly with like a sword, you can see the panic in the character because they're jumping around and they're trying to get away from you and you're just racing after them. Half the time, if you're going at someone with a melee character and they've got a gun, they will run away and they will try and get away from you. No, most of the time they will, and it can be really frustrating, but you've got to know when to pull back with melee characters. And that's just something I found with this game, and I found quite fun, and in a way, another way annoying, and another way fun. Anyway, so yeah, that's the character I played as. That's my first game, and I did pretty well. We won. And you basically got your character rank, which unlocks you things for that character, like titles and skins and all sorts of things like that. Then you got command rank, which is more of your general rank of the game. And that'll get you like new card packs, which you'll see in a minute what they do, and things like that. So that's your general rank of the game, how good you are. But that was my first game, and my first game wasn't too bad. I had a fun experience with it. Anyway, on to the characters. So yeah, these here are your set of characters. As you can see, there are a lot of characters. They all have their different look to them. As you can see, the main difference between these characters is that they'll, as I said earlier, melee and sort of shooter. Or ranged attacks, basically. You got your melee attacks and your ranged attacks, and that seems to be like the differing thing here. And personally, as I said, I think shooting is the best way to go, personally, because you can kind of run away from people if they're trying to melee you. And anyway, these are your gears and your gear items, basically, and you get more gear from these packs that I'm talking about. And these are your kind of your FIFA point pack things. You can see I've got one here, and I'm going to open it now. It's a rare one I got from that last game, and I open it and I get some gear, and these gears will give you small percentage bonuses depending on how rare it is. So that one there is a rarer one, so I've got a few more there, but sometimes there'll be a downside to one of them, so you can have kind of a sacrifice for something really good that you might want. And as you see, I put them in the bank, and you can have a bunch of them in your bank, and that's where you buy them. You've got varied ones, and you use these coins which you earn in game to open, and they don't seem too bad. Like, you can earn the coins fairly enough to open them without using your real money, which you will be able to in the full game. And as you can see here, the ones I've unlocked, I'm putting them into a selected slot. You only get 3 for each one. And then before you play a game on multiplayer, you pick one of these 3 slots of gears, and then as you're playing in the game, you collect this currency. They're like little crystals, basically, you collect in the game. They're like these big shard crystals. You might have seen them floating around in that gameplay I was showing you. Basically, you collect those, and as you collect them, you can use that currency, the in-game currency, to buy those gears as you're playing. So it'll give you bonuses, basically, as you're playing in the multiplayer games. So they seem quite interesting, and a different way to go at like microtransactional things. Like, they're not they're not like giving away big muscly characters that seem unfair. They're giving away small percentages for people who want to shell out a bit more money, and you don't even have to. You can use the currency of the coins to buy them and then use them in game, and they don't seem too OP, so I was pretty happy with that. And those characters look friggin' awesome. Anyway, now I've talked a little bit about that, this is the story mode, and I'm only showing you here the last boss. I played the whole mission on my own, and goddamn, it was a bit of a gruel. I kind of found the story mode a little bit boring. You kind of face these little robots, and the enemies felt kind of bleh. I think maybe if you play it with people, you'll have more fun with it, and you face a few different bosses as you play. The fun thing about the single player, is that it has a kind of comedicness to it with the characters and the people you interact with in this game. Like this guy, who is the final boss, who I'll show you right here. So as you can see, this guy's pretty tough. Isaac is one of the characters you can unlock in the multiplayer. So a cool thing about it is that if you kill this guy in the single player, you get to play as him in the multiplayer as a character. Personally, I didn't like his character, but I think it's a cool way of rewarding you for playing the story. And you also unlock packs and coins and things like that. There's a good reason to play it, even if you're not really a story guy and you're more for the multiplayer. There's an incentive for you there, instead of just saying, hey, I play the multiplayer and I did it and I finished it on this difficulty. but you didn't get anything for it. You just got the bragging rights for it. So there's a really good reason for playing these modes, and you can play them with your friends, which is always a good thing. I'm all more for cooperative story modes. And god damn it, this game is not funny. It made me laugh multiple times playing through this mission and getting to see what happens at the end. He literally has this huge, long... Well, he doesn't have a rant, but he has this massive, like, bleeping sound effect because he's saying fuck, basically, the Isaac guy when you defeat him, and it's really funny. Sorry about that, my phone just went off. But, yeah, you'll see in a minute. I'll just let this play out for a bit. But, the fight was... it doesn't feel too hard, but it feels hard enough that it's challenging. I think that it is supposed to be played with people. I had the feeling, you know, the way that certain characters I felt like could have dealt with certain enemies more better than the character I picked. So I picked this big tanky dude because I didn't want to end up dying loads of times. And he was good, but there was like guys with snipers I couldn't really kill with this big minigun. I kept missing, or the gun was too sporadic to hit anyone with. So I was like, oh man, if I had a sniper, I could have gotten them to deal with it. Or if I had someone who could get around quicker, I could get them to go around behind him and take them all out. So, and because he's slow, he's very easy to tank the damage, but you can't take too much damage. So I could have done with like a healer, and there are healers in this game, so I could have done with that. So I do think that the game story mode wants you to play it with people. But I think this is a really good way of getting you used to the characters, getting you used to controls and the style of game that this is, and it does a good job of showing you what you could do with your characters. And even though I would have liked some kind of tutorial for people like me who've not played MOBAs really much before, the only one I've played I think is Smite on my PC, and I didn't really like it that much. I thought it was okay. But you know, I would have liked some sort of tutorial before, because you literally get chucked into the game without any kind of tutorial. That's the only thing I would say about the beta right now, is it could have done with a tutorial level, optional or not, to help you understand the whole MOBA game as it is. Because the descriptions for the modes are pretty hard to find out, and there's so much info to read about each character that you're literally sitting there at the beginning of the game trying to take in all this info, and it's too much. But that's the only thing I have bad to say about it. And as you can see, I did it, and yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave this here. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good time. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. That was what I was talking about. He did go shit for like a minute. It's pretty funny. Anyway, yeah. I like this game. It's funny. O-Dog thumbs up.